Hey, this is Tony with Salt Strong, and in this video I wanted to discuss, the biggest mistakes a lot of people make when they go out and buy a kayak for fishing. Now, it could be for inshore fishing, freshwater fishing, whatever the case may be. The mistakes are very similar. So number one is, somebody will go out and buy a kayak and then they'll purchase all these accessories with it. And then when they get home, they'll put all these accessories on the kayak. But what you really want to do is take the kayak out on the water with nothing on it. Just bring the bare essentials that you need, your safety equipment, your rod and reel, a small box of tackle, and a couple tools, pliers, scissors, stuff like that. That way, when you get out there on the water, you get a better feel of where things should go before actually putting them on the kayak. Because most of the time, if you don't have tracks or, gear tracks or anything on your kayak, you're going to have to drill holes into the kayak. And if you end up putting something, in the wrong spot where it's not easily accessible or it gets in the way, now you're stuck with a couple holes in your kayak because you're going to have to move that accessory from where it's at. Also, people end up buying, things that they realize they don't really need, but they think it's cool to have or everybody else has it, so they have to go out and get it. And it's really not the case. The least amount of stuff that you can bring with you, the better, because when you're in a kayak, managing all the equipment that you have is tough as it is because you're in a small vessel. So if you can minimize where things are at and also, be organized when you're on your kayak, it's going to make you more successful when you're out there on the water. So with all that being said, if there were 3 things that I would highly recommend purchasing if you're getting a kayak for inshore fishing and fishing shallow water, the first thing would be a rod holder that you can mount in front of you, because you want to have quick access to a rod that is ready to go. You can paddle around, get to a spot, rod's right in front of you, and you can start casting. Now, the next thing that I would really recommend getting is an anchor trolley, because when you anchor up in a kayak, it makes it very easy to change your position while you're anchored. When you're fishing from a kayak, you are pretty much stuck to fishing, facing forward. It's not like being in a boat where you can just, turn around and cast behind you or cast to the side. You're pretty much stuck facing forward and basically fishing what's in front of you. So with that being said, if you're fishing in, current or wind, your kayak's going to be facing a certain direction based on that current or the wind. With the anchor trolley, you can easily just pull on the anchor trolley and you can go from being anchored, from the bow of the kayak, pull on the anchor trolley, it will slide that anchor point to the stern of your kayak, and now you'll be anchored from the back. So if you want to face a certain direction, that's where that anchor trolley comes in handy. And then the last piece of equipment I would recommend would be an anchor pin, especially if you're fishing in very shallow water, shallow flats, shallow lakes, rivers, and stuff like that. The anchor pin is very easy to deploy. You can stop quickly and you can use it with one hand. You can just grab your anchor pin, put it in the ground, and you're good to go, as opposed to dealing with a bunch of rope and a grapple anchor, which also makes a lot of noise when you put it into the water. The anchor pin in combination with the anchor trolley is a very stealthy approach to anchoring yourself, and it's very quick. Now, moving on to the next mistake I see a lot of people make when they're buying their first kayak is, they get in over their head. They buy too much of a kayak. And what I mean by that is you don't need to go out and spend $2,000, $3,000 on your first kayak. My first kayak, it was about $300 or $400. All I did was buy a rod holder to go with it and a crate to go on the back and a few, tackle items in a little tackle box, rod and reel, and I was good to go just to get started. That's all you need. Now, once you get comfortable with that and you decide, kayak fishing is for me, then you can start slowly upgrading to something better. I started out with that cheaper kayak. Then I went to a pedal kayak, and then I went to a more expensive pedal kayak just for efficiency and quality and, reliability. So now I use a Hobie Outback and it works well. You can cover a lot of water with the pedals, but starting out, like I said, if you don't know if kayak fishing is for you yet, don't spend too much money right off the bat. And then lastly, the last mistake I really see a lot of people make is they buy too little of a kayak. And what I mean by that is kayaks have a weight capacity. And if you're a pretty big individual, you really want to pay attention to that weight capacity, because you don't want to meet that weight capacity at all, whether it be with just you in the kayak or you and your gear. So what I really recommend doing, as far as, you know, general rule of thumb, whatever, you know, the weight capacity is of that kayak, let's say it's 425 pounds, I would not put any more than 325 pounds of, you know, yourself plus your equipment into that kayak. So definitely pay attention to weight capacity. If you don't pay attention to that, it can be very dangerous. You know, your kayak's going to sit very low to the water. It loses stability and you will risk flipping over a lot easier or taking on a wave, and it's just very dangerous to get very close to that weight capacity. So again, whatever the weight capacity is on the kayak, take 100 pounds off of that, and that would be your true number that you don't want to go over. So hopefully these tips can help you out if you are going out there to purchase your first kayak for inshore fishing. Again, kayak fishing isn't for everybody, but it can be a very stealthy and fun way to catch fish, and also very easy way to catch fish. You know, there's no maintenance, there's no batteries, there's no fuel or anything like that. It really comes down to your own physical capabilities and just being able to get there out there on the water. So it can definitely be a fun time. So if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them down below. Till next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. If you are new to Salt Strong, we are the largest online fishing club for saltwater anglers, and we guarantee you two things. Number one, you'll start catching more fish in less time. And number two, you will save a ton of money on your favorite tackle and gear with discounts available exclusively for our members. To learn more, go to saltstrong.com and we'll see you there.
There's something about the water that'll give you peace, all by yourself or with your family. Live Salt Strong in weather